Today, my guest is returning guest, Vinney Chopra. Vinney is a syndicating expert, a multifamily syndicating expert. He's done over 28 successful syndications, and he has a portfolio currently worth over $330 million, and that's more than 4,100 doors. And in just a minute, we're going to talk with Vinney about the multifamily syndication outlook for 2020. But first, quick reminder, if you like the show CREPN Radio, we would love to hear from you. Remember, you can like, share, and you can subscribe. And also, if you want to see how handsome our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, and that's Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. With that, I want to welcome back my friend, returning guest, Vinney, to CREPN Radio. Vinney, how are you?
I'm doing great, Darren. Good morning. And it's very exciting to be on your show again. I think I've been on your show maybe 7, 8 times or
Yeah,
something.
no, we
like
have
that.
an actual dedicated, if you look on the YouTube, I have an actual group of the Vinney Chopra episodes. And we've covered a lot. I mean, we've gone through multifamily and all different categories and just topics and that. And I encourage anybody that has not heard of or know of Vinney Chopra, you should check it out. You get quite an education. Check that out. But for those the uninitiated, Vinney, if you could take a minute and just share a little bit about your background, and I know you've been very busy in the last year, and bring us up to speed here a little bit.
Thank you so much, Darren. Totally, for everybody, welcome. And thank you for just doing a fabulous job, Darren. And I know you're bringing so much value to your audiences. I'm Vinney Chopra. I came from India originally with $7 in my pocket. Many years back, I'm a mechanical engineer and came here for my MBA. And then I sold books, Bible books and all, door to door. Got my career in sales and marketing, became a professional speaker. I've given over 11,000 speeches now, and I was raising money, thousands of dollars, as a promotional consultant and director. But then I became a broker, in 2004, got into multifamily, and this has been a very exciting journey for the last 12 years, I would say, because it took me 2 years to understand and everything and learn. And then, of course, I bought my first 14 unit apartment complex for $180,000. I want to tell everybody.
When was that?
That was about 12 years back, I would say, right about, 14 units, and we sold it for 380,000, by the way, just about a couple of years back. This is 2020 now, we are recording. And now I would like to say that 14 units, just flip the number to 41 and just put 2 extra zeros to it.
Yeah, I like your math. That's some attractive math, Vinney.
Attractive math. And the other part is that, 180,000 that I bought the first apartment. Let me take it to you all to $52 million apartment we bought in Orlando last year. 52 million, and then in December we bought another one, 35 million. So you could see that the numbers can grow if your mind is right and if you are looking for partnerships, because we did these 2 with partnership with Enzo Multifamily, my good partners, good people. So we manage assets half and half, and we own also half and half. This way we can combine our efforts and deviate the risk, is another way to do it, right? The exciting part is, I would love to chat about 2020 and 2030, because this is the year we have grown up, I say. We are not teenagers anymore. 1900s, 2019, 2018, we were teens. But now we are into the 2020. So my vision as CEO of many companies, all across my vice presidents and everybody, is that what decisions we make this year alone, it's going to carry us for next 10 years. So we need to have bigger vision, first of all. The second thing is to break it down to 2020 goals and next 5-year goals, then quarterly goals, and then monthly, then weekly, then daily goals, because it's daily execution of our hard, the high goals, I call it, is the key to success for everybody. And we have developed some two goal set. There's so much stuff on the internet, Darren. We would love to provide your audience with the two special forms that we have made one page. I really believe in very consolidated, focused attack on our activities and results. And that's why we have developed those two for our academy. We'd love to provide to your audience.
No, that's awesome. Vinney, before we jump into your vision on 2020, I'm curious because obviously in the last 12 years, a lot has changed. I mean,
Yes.
and actually, I guess 2007 or
Yes.
2008, when you bought the property, was the market at the high, or had it already crashed when you bought that?
It's a very good point. Actually, I was learning about this whole thing in 2004, 5, 6. And then when I got ready, when I had money that I raised, but then the market crashed. So actually, I've gone through ups and downs of the whole market. And I've come out, to this portfolio after doing all that. I've had a lot of challenges like anybody, and which is good. That makes you strong if you have the right attitude, right mindset. It took us 11 months, I want to tell you, to just buy that 14 unit apartment back then. 11, and then I closed on 109 units on that same Friday. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
I mean, we were working on several deals, but people were not talking to us. Market was in turmoil. I mean, my investor money, they said, Vinny, I promise you, but I'm not going to, get my money out of my mutual fund. I've dropped by 50%.
Right, right.
So those things were there. And we were just starting out also. So people were asking us, would you be moving from California, San Francisco to Texas and things like that? I said, no. They said, do you have any record? I said, no. Do you have any track record? No. Any experience? Not much. So all that kind of stuff.
Just a big smile and a lot of enthusiasm,
I know.
huh? Well, but I think that one of the things that I like to at least address, or at least acknowledge, is that the market we've come so far from so low, and clearly anybody that's been in the market has benefited from that. And so I think that it's one thing to reflect, and I think a lot of times our mindset is very reflective of what we know just occurred. I mean, that's what we're expecting. So I think there's a lot of people out there that continue to look for the crash, the next crash, the next crash, the next crash, the next crash, kind of thing, because
Yeah.
that's what our recent history is. It's just so vivid in our memory about how horrible it was, and how low prices went and stuff. But
Yes.
I think that's missing the point, because I think that you look at all the things that were in play then that helped the market crash. Obviously, there's the markets and cycles and all that and stuff, but I think that it's one thing to have benefit from that, but I think that it's not exactly useful to look for it to come again.
I'm glad what you're talking is so much in my mind. And Darren, let me share with you. When I started my old company with a partner, we did 14 syndications, just to clarify everybody, and only for about 100 million. I've done 230 million with my new company that I started 100% ownership with my wife and I. That got started in November 19th of 2014. Hold on. So the crash happened in 2007 and 8. I kept in the market. We kept on buying and all that, and pretty attractive returns I've given to my investors. 30, 40, 50, 70% return per year, by the way, just to be clear. But then in end of 14 up to now, in just 4 years, I have accumulated the rest of it, 230 million. If I had stayed outside and wanted to get into another crash, which has not happened. This is 2020, the biggest bull that we have in the stock market and in real estate and everywhere. And the statistics are very different. For the all the different factors that really bring the economy down and get into a downfall. The China thing is everybody's thinking now. We got the war yesterday right there in Iraq and all that. But those things are small. But the thing is, what we need to be looking at is, where is the demand? That's what I'm talking about. what really I'm passionate about is millennials are liking apartments, portability. The baby boomers like me and others, they are retiring, they are downsizing, they are liking apartments. Immigrants who are coming from other countries, they cannot afford homes. There is a pent up demand for the next 30, 40 years in this country.
No, I love that that you share that with me because I think again it's so easy to be waiting for the other shoe to drop because everybody will think that it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash.
Yeah.
And if you don't recognize what the demand is and that the I don't know there's a word, but just the shift in the demographics and what they're looking for housing,
So
you know,
true. So
is
true. I mean, I am pretty bullish on a lot of emerging markets. As you know, Darren, I've always followed my gut, for the markets that I go into because I was in Texas. A lot of people wanted me to go other states, but I was finding so many great deals because of
hmm
builder relationship with the brokers. I'm a broker in California, never bought or sold, but it just talks their lingo, right? The other part I want to mention to your audience is that I bought in Atlanta 2017. Hold on. 2017 bought for 10 million 100, sold for 15 million 400 in just 2 years. I
wow,
sold it last
50%,
year.
huh? fifty
Yeah,
percent
that's
and
not bad. Not bad. I bought another one for 12 million 200. I'm getting offers for 18 million. Who
no,
can make $6 million by not putting any money into a property at all? It's brick homes, townhouses, beautiful, beautiful everything. But just by doing great research, you could come. Now I'm in Florida. We're going to make hay there like crazy. In Jacksonville, in Tampa, in Orlando, in Melbourne, all the areas around there. And then Punta Gorda, Sarasota, right down there, Cape Coral in senior living, like I was mentioning to you before. So it's very exciting time if you find different ways to look at what's your mindset. Is the mindset about abundance, or it's the mindset about scarcity? It's the mindset that I don't want to take risks. Then just go to sleep. This life is to take risks,
right. No, and
calculated risks.
oh, sure. Calculated risk and the opportunity. And I think that there are no guarantees, period.
There is no, 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 no.
But I think that there's enough empirical evidence. Um, there's enough evidence that real estate is in demand, and if you are positioned properly, even if
Yes,
there is any kind of a correction or whatever, if you've got long-term, low interest, financing locked, and you've got your income locked. I mean, you should be fairly well protected, and there are ways to even protect yourself in case of anything. But I think that the fact of the matter is, if you go down to the primary needs of people, housing is at the top, right? Food and
it
shelter,
sure is. It
right?
sure is. Darren, you said it so correctly. 2018, I didn't buy anything. I never wanted to buy a property, put my investors' money into a deal where I will not put my money in. And that was because everybody and their mom was paying too much money for these assets. The crescendo of investors, the new investors, was so high, and they were just paying like crazy and giving 90% of the cash flow to the investors. I mean, those were not the right times to buy, because what can you do with 10%? You have to be on the loan, you have to do everything, you have to manage the property for 5 years. So a lot of people got into wrong places. Then last year we bought two very strategic assets. If you go out there, you have to bat 100 to get one or two. But the thing is, you got to be willing to do that, right? Because the value add function, the mismanagement function, to the rubs, like we talked about, increasing and bringing the smart home features, bringing the dog wash and cyber cafes, and all that is so important. Having a strong business plan is so important to bring your investors' money into the deal. And the
No,
interest rates, like you said, we got 3.82%, 30-year fixed, and we got 10-year, no, 30-year amortized, 10-year fixed, 5 years of interest only.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, where can you buy that money?
That's
This is the
free
cheapest
money.
time to get money, free money, totally
Yeah.
free money. And then Fannie and Freddie were fighting to give us that $42 million loan. Both of them, and Freddie won because they gave us a rate lock fee waiver, $70,000. They said, we won't charge you rate lock fee. We said, okay, you got it.
No, that's beautiful. I mean, there's nothing better than having or being the prettiest girl at the ball, right? I mean, that's the I mean, everybody vying for your business there. So okay, so we basically we've been talking here a little bit about the path where we've come from. You've mentioned how 18 you felt like people were overpaying, and
Yes.
I guess I'm kind of curious. In 19, you say you did 2 deals.
Yes.
Um, was there a sensibility that came back to the market, or did you see a continuation of what you thought was not going to, or
Good
what
point.
changed?
Very good point. I think 18, the interest rates were higher, as you all know, and there was some downward pressure towards the end of 18. 19 also, the interest rate went down. Of course, when the interest rates go down in our underwriting, it gives us a little bit more, I would say, even the price is the same or expectations of the sellers reduced a little bit, and that way you are able to make the COC number, the cash on cash number, work better.
A little
And we
margin of
will
safety
not
there.
buy cash on cash of 2% for a stabilized asset, which some people did, by the way. So we are looking for cash and cash of 7% to make the deal work. I used to go for 10%. Those days are gone. And also I'm buying new product. That's the good part also. And with your audience too, I think the biggest thing is, don't just get hung up on one underwriting. Don't get hung up on one, somebody sent you and you're trying to put a square pug, in a round hole or other way, whatever it is. The thing is, you got to be genuinely underwriting good, solid, standard deals. You don't want to undermine your, the tough foundation, and we are very excited about both of them. We are toured 3 new assets in Orlando. We are touring next week, actually, 4 other ones. So it's all about really putting a lot more in the hopper, you know.
Right. Well, you mentioned underwriting in that. Are these? Do you consider these value add plays, or are these
They
more
are.
of?
They
Okay.
really are. I mean, just to give you an idea, if I may,
Yeah.
even though it's at a higher level, I mean, the one we bought, $52 million deal, it appraised higher. The seller had put millions of dollars to renovate 324 units. Only 28 were left in classic units. Rest 296 were already done for us. That's like 2.5 years of my time already got saved,
Yeah.
you know and they didn't increase the rents because they wanted to cash out or sell it, because it was like 5 or 7 years old from their perspective. With the investors, they
So they
knew
was.
they're going to get from 35 million, I think they paid, they got 52 from us, right? So that's a pretty strong gain, right? So now we come there, we're going to bring that 52 to 72 million. See,
Wow.
that's how it all works. Same thing happened in our $35 million deal. It's 2003 built, and the people who bought it, they were ground up, very luxury builders. So they put millions into this asset, and they made the entrance and the resident and the cafe with the custom couches and this and lighting and all that stuff, right? The most sophisticated things. Exercise room is like coming out of Equinox, right?
Wow.
So they put so much money, then they renovated 60 units out of 200. Then they stopped. They said, oh my gosh, we are spending so much money. They wanted to sell it. So now we bought it, and we're going to renovate even the 60 they did. We didn't like them. So we're going to do some more to that, but plus the 140 more units. And the rent difference is $200 to $400 in this
Wow.
community
That's awesome.
in Melbourne. And we are so excited because we came across it and our broker brought it, and we do very quick underwriting within 24 hours, 36 hours. We put LOI with $500,000 non-refundable day one. So when you get to in that league, that's a very small change. Yeah, yeah,
No, but I think what you've shared here is that the value add plays continue to be available. I think that a
totally.
lot of times when people hear value add,
Yeah,
the assumption is that you've got to go in and do kitchens and baths and
right.
all of these things. And what you're telling me is that some of these units have already been renovated, but the rents
Yes,
weren't increased. And so
yes,
it's again, the value is for the underwriter, for the buyer, you have to have the ability to recognize where can you increase the value, right?
totally,
What,
totally.
what's the value that the seller hasn't recognized in the property, whether it be at a dog park, at a covered
Valet
parking,
trash,
yeah,
yeah. Smart home features,
or
nest egg, you can
rubs,
buy them.
yep,
Millennials are loving all these small features, USB plugs in the bedroom and in the kitchen, and all these places where they will charge their phones and all. They cost so little money, but they are so involved and they want it. So that's the exciting part, I would say to the audience. Please don't give up. A lot of my students even tell me in my academy, Vinny, is this the right time to purchase? I say every time is the right time when you find a good deal.
right.
But you got to be building relationships with the property management companies, with also brokers, maybe do the texting campaigns, to talk to the sellers, things like that. My new company, which we started with my partner, it's called Oxygen. Oxygen for the sellers and Oxygen for the buyers.
I like it.
Oxygen.vip is my new startup company that we just built in the Silicon Valley with my partners. And it's operational already, where the sellers can sell their multifamily and will close within a month. 15 days to 30 days will close, pay cash for the multifamily. That's the concept.
No,
So that way we can buy it, we can take over all the third party reports, everything will be all done, and we can put it on a silver platter with a private placement memorandum already, because we have working with all the banks and title companies and appraisers and syndication attorneys and all that, so that the syndicator like me and others can just take it on a silver platter.
so this platform is available to both buyers and sellers. It's not necessarily
Both,
your
both,
okay. Okay.
both.
Oh, that's
We
beautiful.
are in Texas, in Florida, and now in California also. Just three, because we are starting, right?
Right.
So we are. It's a very good way, frictionless way to buy and sell multifamily. What Open Door has already done very nicely, and Zillows is doing it now for single family. My company wants to do it for the multifamily.
No, that's beautiful. That's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
So let's talk here just a little bit now. What do you see? I mean, we've talked a little bit about the past. Where do you see multifamily syndication for the coming year and beyond?
I would say definitely, Darren, I'm so high on the syndication part of it. People feel threatened when they hear about syndication. They think about SEC ruling is going to put them behind bar and in jail, and investors will be irate, and all that, right? We always think about what's the worst that can happen. But let me assure everybody, if you learn it correctly, if you follow the rules, I love the syndication world because I'm totally transparent and honest, and integrity wise. My investors love because everything is open to them, every single thing, every book, every account. I mean, even though they don't ask, I mean, the bids, the invoices, of course, profit and loss statement everybody gives out, right? Rent rolls. I bring the communities to them every quarter, on the quarter, we record it live. They get the links and they can fly to the properties whenever they want without telling me. They could shop the properties. So that's the transparency that people like. So syndication world is pulling the money together of your friends and relatives and acquaintances and the baby boomers who are retiring. A lot of them don't know how to really take hold of their retirement money through 401k and kiosk plan and all that, through the checkbook writing like we talked about, EQRP, qualified retirement plans and all that. So that way they could get great returns. So if we everybody wins. See, in this game of syndication, investors win, residents win because we are giving them great places to live. Then our team members, we have at the peak, we had 100 full time team members in my two companies of
Wow.
management. 100. We are at 55 right now. We'll be hiring more as we buy more, apartment. And we have accounting department, HR department, the whole bit, right? I mean, Vinny's building all these vertical integrated companies, right? So that's where it is, where you are able to have that goal set in mind, that residents are winning, the team members, the vendors, hundreds and thousands of vendors are winning, their families and our families. So five wins are there, five wins, in this world.
No, that's beautiful. So, looking forward, so in 2020, I mean, you've made the case for it, and that there's the demand, um, and we've talked about the millennials, we've talked about the baby boomers, we've talked about the immigration, increased demand for multifamily. Um, what do you see as far as the opportunity raising money? I mean, is that basically what you're saying? Is it a lot of the how to get the money is there's people out there looking for investment opportunities, a better return than what they're getting in the stock market? Is that what you're?
Totally,
That's,
totally. I would highly make a case. I would love to share a report, if you don't mind. I'd love to share to
yeah,
your audience 2020 outlook. See, whenever you want to be a professional of any kind of field, you want to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into it and learn and read and listen to. National Apartment Research Report just got published by Berkadia and CBRE and everybody out there, the big brokerage houses. And the good part is that they show us, I mean, everything is in writing. Everything is in writing. And that tells us what these researchers are telling us, what's happening in the next 20 years, 30 years. Every single graph is so instrumental. And we can put I think it's in digital form also. I'll try my team to send a link to you so that your audience can see. And it goes through all the different parts of the whole country, each and every market. So it's very exciting because the thing is, our mind of scarcity or our mind of plentifulness, right? I mean, abundance. So that's what I'm talking about. We have so many people who have a lot of money around us, but we cannot be a salesperson. We can't ask you, Darren, hey, I didn't tell you much, but would you like to invest? No,
right.
not at all. So you got to really build relationship is the name, right? Building network relationships, learn the art, work with some good solid syndicator with a track record so that they can bring some good opportunities, learn from them, and then you move into doing your own syndications. Yeah, yeah.
No,
That's the
that's
name of the
beautiful.
game, really.
And so we talked about the demand. We talked about the money. I know you mentioned before we started the call, you're moving into some of the what do we call it? It's not is retirement or what
Yeah,
adult or senior
senior
living?
living. Yeah, what has happened, Darren, is that 10,000 people are becoming senior citizens in this country every day. Every day, 10,000 people. Oh my gosh, all those people might have, some might be living in apartments, possibly. but a lot of them might have homes, and now they are going to be thinking about how they're going to cut down their expenses, how they can probably sell their home and then downsize is the word, and move into some nice communities of senior living, 55 plus and things like that, right? That's a senior. So that's what I'm very passionate about. And for the last, I would say for the last 7 months, I've been working on this now. And now it's coming to fruition that we'll be joining hands. Monil is joining hands with a senior living developer, very wonderful person and company. And they have done 14 projects already, very successful projects. And they are able to buy them, buy the land, build very methodically within 1 year to 1 year and 2 months, all done, luxury senior living, single story, everything. And then we sell it for almost 50% higher what we built it for.
Wow.
So my investors will be getting 22 to 25% per year returns.
No, not many people would say no to that. I can imagine.
No, but the thing is, we are looking at, okay, where are the seniors moving to? Florida, Arizona, Virginia, Michigan. I mean, all these different segments. And then we do feasibility studies, we do everything, we do all the land. First, we have to find demand, all that. Then we go ahead and do the permits. We take 7 months to get just the permits from the city officials and everything. So then we raise money when we break the ground. We only raise money, we put all our money before that. And then when we dig, the first shovel in the ground, that's when we raise money, and then we are ready to.
Gotcha. So what would you say to somebody that's been maybe sitting on the sideline or has not yet, or they've been curious, if they've been waiting for the doomsday, for the next crash, they've been waiting, what would you encourage, or what would you say to them regarding multifamily syndication in 2020?
If I may say, Darren, I would like to appeal to everybody listening to me or watching me, and Darren, is that, see, the biggest thing is every life has risks. But when your money is in under the pillow, it's not making any money. When it's in the bank, you're making 0.016 or 2% when you lock it in for a couple of years or 6 months. I don't know. Never do the CDs route. You might be in the stock market, which is at the all-time high. You made some good money. I would make an appeal that diversification is good. And the best thing about real estate is that it's a leverage out market, because we are only getting the property, as you know, multifamily, senior living, hotel, whatever it is, right? The bank loves it because bank gives you 80% of the money or 70% of the money at 4%. That's
Yeah.
the cheapest money around. So our investors' money is only 20% money, right? Or 30%. So it's a small portion, but the good part is it's not going to go to ground overnight. It will not. It's a building, and you're constructing something very good with high demand from millennials, from seniors, from everybody, and then also the immigration. Those are the three factors, right? And USA is a more of a renters nation now, and continue to be for the next 35 years. So it just makes sense not to just stay outside and and let everybody make the money, but jump in there, jump in with 100,000 or 200 or whatever, to see the returns that you get. We've been able to get 18 to 26% per year, which is spectacular.
No, that's incredible. And again, I think that anybody that's watching this is probably by now recognizes that they need to get into real estate if they're not. And if they are in, they're probably smiling, listening to what you've said and shared, and excited about where their portfolio is headed as well. Vinney, before we continue, I'd like to shift gears, and you've played this game a couple times with me.
Yes.
Um, as everybody knows, or I'll share with the audience, by day I'm an insurance broker,
Yes.
and in insurance we do risk management. We work with our clients to assess risk, and
Hmm.
there's essentially there's three strategies we always look at for risk. And the first one is, can we avoid the risk? And if that's not a possibility, we look to see if there's a way we can minimize the risk.
Yes.
And when we can't avoid it, we can't minimize it, then we look to see, can we transfer the risk? And that's what insurance is. It's a risk transfer means. And so now for over a year now, I've been asking my guests, and I know I've asked you a couple of times, but I'm always encouraged by what I hear people um, answer when I ask them. And again, I want to remind you that I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance related risk,
Hmm.
um, but it's just a question that I'd like to ask you, Vinney. Is Vinney Chopra, what is the biggest risk?
Wow, I'm so glad you shared that because I settled three lawsuits, just in last quarter of 2019. So it's very fresh in my mind. And actually, one lawsuit was going on for about 2.5 years. Nothing major, but it was major in the sense that something happened with one of my contractors on one of my property. And I'm so glad that I had full coverage, you know, and they settled the issue for almost like 700 some thousand dollars, and I didn't have to pay a penny. Other thing, Darren, my fire happened, right there in Atlanta property, and that was a fire. I had a $20,000 deductible only, and that settled for $2.3 million, just to let you all know. But it was only possible because of people like Darren, who were able to sit down with me and make sure that we get the proper insurance. I got hacked also in 2017, lost $252,000. And guess what? I did not have the cyber insurance, and that got me hurt. And I never look back, I always look forward and say, what can I do today to make myself better? And that's okay. But now I'm fully taken care of by my IT, cyber security, and insurance and everything. So the key thing is, I think insurance plays a very important role. I had another lawsuit with the firing somebody, and they said it's racial discrimination firing. So these are very important issues. You got to make sure you got great attorneys, first of all, who are with you, dealing with you, looking at your contracts and everything. I'm very happy to say I didn't have to pay much again. It could have been in millions of dollars of lawsuit, but by hiring the right people and having the right insurance companies and all that, it helps a lot.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, because it's funny. I think the fire and lawsuits, I think, are typically what people think of with
Yeah.
insurance related things. But the cyber is one that's it's insidious, and you don't necessarily know it. It can come in
Yes.
an email, and it can be just as simple as one of your employees clicking on a link
Yes.
and getting in there. And if you are comfortable, are you able to share a little bit about how the you got hacked? What was
I
the
would
nature?
love to. I would love to. This will really help a lot of people. Darren, what happened was I was told, we tried to track it back. Actually, one of my investor sent $20,000 into this routing number and the account for one of the property that I was purchasing through the PPM. This hacker went into Microsoft 365, and they took out some of my contacts, and they looked at my emails, what I was sending to my investors, and they changed the wiring instructions. They changed the routing number and the account number, and they made my picture at the bottom and everything, but they made a different what's the word, domain name of Monil IG, but it said MONIELIG.com. They just switched one letter or two letters. Now they had a complete record of my picture, my everything, and they were sending these out to my investors. Oh my gosh.
Oh
I
my
mean, I
gosh.
had to go on Gmail and send the message across to all my investors to stop sending and don't do anything. And then one of the Houston fraud detection found a 50,000 payment that was going to go to El Salvador, I think, or someplace. And they said, you know what? We found that because they were sending some other people's money there too. So they intercepted it. That's what blew the whistle on it. And then I got 43,700 back of that 50,000. And I paid my investor the balance of the money and paid that 43 back. And by the way, I'm a good guy. I paid 20,000 also back from my pocket to the investor who sent that 20,000 and lost every penny of the investment. He's telling that to so many people around his circle. Vinney is such a great guy, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, then we got hacked by also the vendors. Oh my gosh. So they actually started sending emails to my accounting department, vice president of accounting affairs, and it's like from me. And it says to my accounting department head, please pay this $101,000. We need it right away. It needs to be wired and all that. And then I was traveling and things happened. I take blame on my side. I was in the aeroplane. And then she says, Vinny, should I go to the bank and wire? She went to the bank and wired to the wrong account.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
no,
I'm
I,
laughing at it now. But you know what? That's who I am. I said, Vinny, okay, you did a mistake. It happened. Now, as a CEO, what would you do? So take every precaution to, not let it happen, of course. And then you tackle the issue. We talked to the vendors and I pleaded and this and that. They gave me rebates. I said, as a businessman to businessman, I know in this 101,000, yours was this much profitability, could be 30-40%. Can we share that profitability? So I was able to reduce those risks a little bit, so I lost still some money. But the thing is, I would like your audience to really keep that in mind. Your business is only strong if you are really taking care of all these insurance needs and attorneys and your bookkeeping, CPA. Those are great people to surround you with, you know, because what you are building today, you want to be so totally airtight with all the risks involved. Yeah.
no, no, I appreciate you sharing that because I think it's something a lot of people hear
Yes.
the word, or they hear about the big stories like the Equifax or the government or somebody,
Yeah.
Home Depot or Target, or all these different ways that all these big um, you know brands that have been attacked, but they don't recognize how insidious it is. And we've probably all received these letters of, hey, unfortunately, this happened, and you've either been provided monitoring or you've been notified of all of the different things that you're required to do. But I don't think people realize how easy it is. It can happen, in your own
Yes.
operation,
Yes.
and what can happen. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Totally. Thank you, Darren.
Um, Benny,
I
before,
did want to, I had written down one more thing. I prepare
yeah,
a lot,
yeah, yeah,
as you know. I do want to tell also to the audience, we didn't talk about tax ramifications. And that is amazingly true because the cash flow we give out is short term, like it's a cash flow, like ordinary income. So a lot of my investors are getting their spouses who are working, not working, but at home to get into some real estate and cover 750 hours, haha, to become real estate professional, because you or your spouse can be one and you have to work 750 hours, but 50% or more, 51% or more time needs to be in that real estate, right? So please talk to your CPA and see how you can get better returns also. Not only saving the taxes. Of course, we want to pay the rightfully taxes, but the capital gains, long-term capital gains and 1031s are very, very good avenues that can save and defer taxes also.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. Before we wrap up, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more and connect? And also, you mentioned a couple of things you have available. So let us know
Yes.
here, and I'll be sure to put this in the show notes so everybody can connect
Totally,
or,
totally. I'll be sending you link to this one right
okay.
away.
All right.
And then also my books are there at Amazon. If anybody would like to check them out. When I say books, I have one book actually already on the international bestseller list within few months. That's Apartment Syndication Made Easy. It's in Kindle edition, print, and also audio. And Spanish version is coming up. It's ready to be published. And then Hindi version, which is my mother tongue. We are looking into that. My second book is coming out. Profitability brings positivity brings profitability. That's my next book. But you could actually, the audience can text the word learn, LEARN, learn to 474747. And John, my business advisor and vice president of the academy, will be, and they can email John also, which is John, JON, at vinneychopra.com. So my name brand all over the internet, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, it's Vinney Chopra, VINNEY,
Awesome.
vinneychopra.com.
Awesome. Well, Vinny, I will be sure to list all of that in the show notes. And
Thank you,
I
Darren.
have
Such a
enjoyed
pleasure.
this immensely. It's been too long. We need to do it again here soon.
We will, please let me know. I'm so excited to, and I'll be traveling some also, of course, across the nation. Like I'm putting a very good meetup group, not a meetup actually, my presence. Three promoters are planning on the January. I don't know if it'll be out though. I shouldn't mention it because January 26th, I'm in Houston and I'll be signing my book and all books and talking about the 2020 outlook and all that in Orlando, in Tampa, so Boston, New York. So I'll be, and in the Bay Area, definitely. So I'm going on more travels also all
With
across the nation.
the Vinny book tour. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Vinny, I can't say thanks enough. Like I said, I've enjoyed it. I learned a lot and look forward to our next chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Darren. God bless you.
All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.